characters. So we have two main characters, that is Donna Laura and Don Gonzalo. The old woman's name here is Donna Laura, and the old man's name here is Don Gonzalo. So we have another two supporting characters, that is Petra, who is Donna Laura's maid, and we have Junito, who is servant of Don Gonzalo. So this entire story or this play talks about how these two old people in their late 70s meet in a park, identifying each other as old lovers, but they do not disclose their identities. So they both are very old now, around 70 years, and they do not want to reveal their identity. So the entire play revolves around these two major characters, that is Don Gonzalo and Donna Laura, who in their youth were passionate lovers, but they got separated or they broke up by the cruelty of the fate. After several years of their separation, now when they are like 70 years old, both Don Gonzalo and Donna Laura accidentally or coincidentally they meet in a park of Madrid. So they meet in a park of Madrid, yeah, which is in Spain. And these two old lovers now, they are not able to initially recognize each other, but as they begin to talk, they slowly drift to recall their past, and soon they realize, individually, that they were passionate lovers of the past. However, they are unwilling to disclose their real identity and introduce themselves as friends of those lovers. So, in this entire play, both of them are old now, they are 70 years, and they come together coincidentally in a park at Madrid, which is in Spain. So when they meet each other, initially they don't recognize each other, but as they begin to talk to each other, converse with each other, they identify that they both are old, passionate lovers. But now that they are very old, they really don't want to reveal their identity. So they come up with all fictitious stories about what happened to the old lovers. So they don't reveal their identities, but they narrate their part of story through another person's voice, meaning Donna Laura does not put herself in her own love story, but she says her own love story as though it is her best friend's love story. Similarly, Don Gonzalo also shares his love story, but he does not reveal his identity, but he shares his own story by telling that it is his cousin's story. This is how they try to hide their identity. Now we will see how the play begins. So, Donna Laura is a handsome old lady, aged about 70 years. On that particular bright, sunny morning, she comes to the park with her maid, Petra, to feed the birds. The maid goes away to meet her friend, that is the guard, and Laura watches the birds eat the breadcrumbs and which she has thrown for them. So she gives Petra the liberty to go and visit the guard of the park, and she sits down there feeding the birds with breadcrumbs. As she's sitting down there, Don Gonzalo and his servant Junito comes there at the same time, not finding his usual bench or any other bench empty. So Gonzalo comes and sits beside Laura because none of the benches were empty for Don Gonzalo to go and sit. So unwillingly he comes and sits next to Donna Laura. Both starts conversing with each other, but it is not a very pleasant conversation. It begins with Laura taunting in response to Gonzalo's reluctant greeting. So both get irritated and speak rather very harshly and sharply to each other. And out of that frustration, uh, Gonzalo takes out a book and adjusts two pairs of glasses on his nose and starts reading it. So, as he starts reading it, Laura makes fun of his poor eyesight. Gonzalo retorts angrily. He responds in a very angry manner that his eyesight is good enough to hunt regularly. Laura again treats this remark very sarcastically. So here at the beginning of their conversation, Laura keeps always taunting Don Gonzalo. When Don Gonzalo comes into the park, comes close to Donna Laura, he scares the birds which she's feeding, and Donna Laura gets very upset about this and shouts back at Don Gonzalo, telling that you have scared away the birds. And Don Gonzalo says, why should I be bothered? This is a public park. So why should I be bothered about your birds? So for that, uh, Donna Laura says, then why should you be so fussy about not finding the place which you used to sit regularly? If it is occupied by the priest today, why did you make such a big fuss out of it? You could have come and sat anywhere else. So this is how they get into an argument. Then here, Don Gonzalo greets Donna Laura by telling good morning. Even then, Donna Laura is very rude and harsh to him, and she continuously is very sarcastic towards him. And she also makes fun of Don Gonzalo when he adjusts his magnifying glasses to read the book. Then the sniff incident brings a peace between Donna Laura and Don Gonzalo. So Gonzalo, um, he is very frustrated now, and he gets ready to take a snuff, and he offers Donna Laura also some snuff. So she takes it, and both sneeze three times alternatively. So when Donna Laura is offered a snuff by Don Gonzalo, she accepts it, consumes it, and both of them sneezes alternatively three times. Meaning, first Don Gonzalo sneezes, followed by Donna Laura, then Don Gonzalo, and then Donna Laura. So this happens for three times. So after this incident, uh, the atmosphere changes and they start talking in a polite, friendly manner. So their head is clear now, so they're very happy, and they start talking to each other very politely and happily. So Gonzalo here begins to read the book loudly, and when Laura laughs at him for reading through two pairs of glasses, challenges her to read, Laura takes the book and she starts reading the quote, as though her eyesight is really good. But the truth is, she has by hearted of the particular verse which she is reading. But Gonzalo here appreciates her good eyesight and starts talking about their past life. So slowly, as they begin to talk, uh, Don Gonzalo mentions that he has met a friend in his native city called as Venecia. So he asks Laura whether she knows the place Venecia. She says that she knew it because she is from a village named Merisela near Valencia. So you can see this picture here. So here, this is Spain, the map of Spain. Madrid is the park where Donna Laura and Don Gonzalo at present are sitting and talking to each other. And Donna Laura says that she is from a small village called as Merisila, which is in Valencia. And Donna Laura says that she knows this place well because she's born and brought up here. Don Gonzalo says that he knows a friend from this place called as Venencia. But however, Don Gonzalo is surprised to hear the name Maricela from Laura's mouth. So he says that he had seen the most beautiful women called as Laura Laurenti in this place, Maricela. So, Don Gonzalo here is very surprised when Laura says that she's from the place Maricela, and then he confesses that he has met the most beautiful women there called as Laura Laurenti. Now, in this, after he says this particular statement, Laura is very surprised. Now it is her turn to be surprised, and she stares at Consuelo for some time and then recognizes him as the man she had loved before. So she also realizes that she is herself the woman being referred to. So when Don Gonzalo says that he has seen the most beautiful women, Laura Laurenti, this is none other than Donna Laura. But here she doesn't want to reveal her identity as this Laura Laurenti, and she closely stares at Don Gonzalo, and she immediately recognizes him to be her past lover. So we will see in the next following classes how the story will go, what actually happened between them, and why both of them are not ready to reveal their identity. So for today's class, we will wind up. I will just do a quick recap of the play. Okay, first, this play is about these two old people talking about their flashback story, identifying each other, not revealing their identity. We are talking about Donna Laura and Don Gonzalo. Now, we have Junaito, servant of Don Gonzalo, Petra, maid of Donna Laura. Now, this entire play is a one act comedy setting in the park of Madrid, which is in Spain. Now, Donna Laura is around 70 years old. She comes with Petra. She feeds the bird. She loves Petra to go meet the guard. As she is feeding the birds, Don Gonzalo comes with his servant Junaito, and he sees that the entire park is occupied. All the seats are occupied. He gets really annoyed. He also sees three priests sitting in his usual bench. He gets really angry, and unwillingly he tries and sits next to uh, Donna Laura. So at the beginning, their conversation is very rough with each other. They are sarcastic towards each other, they're rude towards each other. But the sniff incident got peace between both of them, and they continuously, alternatively sneezed, which got peace between both of them. And now Gonzalo starts talking about his past story, and he addresses to the name, to the place Venecia, which is at Spain. And then Laura also confesses that she's from Maricela. Both of them are surprised, and here they identify each other as their past lovers. Here, Laura identifies Gonzalo. Gonzalo is yet to identify Laura, and Gonzalo just randomly talks about Laura Laurenti, the most beautiful women in the village Maricela.